Hi lovelies, and welcome back to today's Read the Room, which, as you can tell by the title of today's video, is for Britney Spears. I have read for Britney before, but I have to say the energy has definitely shifted since the past two times that I have read for her, and it is feeling better and more uplifted, and I feel like her power and her strength is coming back. Spirit did instantly come through because as I was premeditating for her, I was starting to get very emotional and feel very sad for her, and they wanted to come through and say that this isn't something to be sad about. I actually wrote down, Spirit is adamant that we don't be sad about this anymore. Change is coming, karma is on its way, and Britney will be free. So that's exactly what I channeled, and so I do feel that good things are coming for Britney, so I'm really relieved to hear that. And so I just want to start by saying that I am sending Britney Spears the utmost love, the utmost light, the utmost support. Britney, if you do ever stumble across this, we are all behind you, we support you. I am excited to get into this Read the Room, see what the energy has been and where we're going. So if you do enjoy this reading, please do hit a lovely thumbs up. Remember, please do leave some love for Britney in the comments below. All of our collective energy does help to raise the vibration, so please do leave your love and light for her in the comments down below. If you enjoy readings like this, please do subscribe, and let's get into reading for Britney Spears. So in the room today, we have a number of people. We have Larry Rudolph, who lovely brought to my attention, who I didn't know was her manager for a good 20 years and has recently resigned. I think it was as of 5 days ago he resigned as Britney's manager, so we're going to get into that. We've got James Spears, Britney's father, Lynn Spears, her mother, Jamie Lynn Spears, her sister, Sam Asghari, her partner, and of course Britney Spears. So let's get into it, and we're going to start by reading for Larry Rudolph. So Larry Rudolph was born on the 24th of July 1963, and he's 57 years old, and as I said, as of 5 days ago he was Britney Spears' manager, and he had been her manager since the mid-1990s. So right at the beginning of her career he had been her manager. He'd been her manager from the beginning, and isn't it so bizarre and so coincidental that, you know, as all of this stuff is now coming to light about the conservatorship, he's now decided to resign. I feel with this Larry Rudolph that his energy is probably just as manipulative as her father's, although her father has such a dark energy, which we will get into. But I feel like Larry Rudolph didn't do anything to favour Britney Spears, and I feel like we're going to see that theme here through everyone we read for today. No one has really put Britney first. It's all been about themselves. And so I think it would be wrong to say that I feel that Larry handed in this letter of resignation because he felt so bad about his actions. No, I feel like for many years he put himself first and he manipulated and controlled Britney. And I actually picked up that he was very on and off with her. So there were days where he would like make her his best friend, and like they would laugh and joke, and like before she knew it he would turn on her and he would turn his back on her. It was very flippant and very up and down, but I feel like that's how many people are with her. You know, it's like, oh, let me be your friend, or, you know, let us pretend, let me get close to you so I can turn on you and then take from you. And I feel like Larry Rudolph was no different in that. I did put here, he cannot say his hands are clean. He definitely cannot walk away from the situation and say his hands are clean. I will say I do feel like he did realise that he had done wrong. I feel like he manipulated, that's the word that definitely comes up with Larry Rudolph, the manipulation. He definitely manipulated Britney a lot of the time, made her feel less than, made her feel less than worthy, made her feel not good enough. Oh, that performance wasn't really as good as it should have been, was it? And Britney honestly is such a soft soul, and I spoke about this before, like towards the end of like when she was performing, she was so broken down and her self-esteem and her confidence was so low. You would never know it when she's on stage performing because she's such an amazingly talented performer, but her energy was so broken down that if you were to say something like that to her, like, oh, that performance wasn't really the best, was it? She would have absolutely believed it, and she would have taken it wholeheartedly to heart, because she didn't have anyone around her who was really bigging her up or making her feel good or saying you did really well there. Like, no one around her was doing that. And so, you know, she internalized all of those things that people were saying to her, like, could have been better, you didn't really do that how we did it in the rehearsal, you know, you could have done much better. She started to internalize all of that and also became, I guess, her own worst enemy. A lot of these things that people were saying to her made her become her own worst enemy as well, and she would beat herself up about things. And I talked about her looking in the mirror before and her relationship with herself. You know, Spirit do show me her looking in the mirror and just feeling less than, feeling like less than she actually was, and she deserved so much more. And I feel like Larry Rudolph orchestrated and had a big part in that. You know, as her manager, he really, it's an element of control, wanted to control her, and to do that I feel like he bullied her. You know, he made her feel less than so that he could control her, because anyone who is firm in their self and firm in their belief and firm in who they are, you can't bully them, you can't mess them around, because they're strong in who they are. To bully someone and mess them around, you have to break them down, and that's what happened here. But I do feel like he did start to feel bad about it, but not bad enough to just walk away and be like, okay, I wash my hands of this, I'm handing in my resignation. No, no, no. I do pick up that there was some kind of bribery, that he did ask for a payout, that he did say, if you don't give me this money, I'm going to tell everything, because there's a lot here that we don't know. And he could see what was about to happen. He can see what's about to happen. He could see the more stuff was coming out, and he didn't want people to say things about him, even though I do feel there are things that are going to come out about him. And so he cut himself out of that quicker than can be. And I feel like actually maybe to save himself, he may have even said, look, I'm gonna leave. Britney doesn't want to do this anymore anyway. I'm gonna leave before she says something about me. But I feel like before he did go, I feel like there was paperwork signed. I feel like he did do bribery. There was blackmail. I feel that he got a payout. I just feel like before this Larry Rudolph walked away, I feel like he got a payout. But he definitely mentally tormented Britney at times. You know, like I said, it was this constant up and down, and she didn't know what she was going to get with him. It was very much walking on eggshells, and he would manipulate her to get her to do what he wanted her to do, to get her to show up on time and overwork herself and all of this. And he realised now, I feel that, you know, she's not going to do this anymore. He's got everything he wanted out of it. As she doesn't want to work anymore, what more is there for him to get? He can't get any more money out of her. And so, yeah, of course he's going to walk away. But he definitely, I feel he did not walk away empty-handed. So I want to move on to Lynn Spears, Britney Spears' mum. And Lynn Spears was born on the 4th of May, 1955. I cannot believe she is a Taurus mama. I cannot believe it, because her loyalty is dead. Tauruses are known for being so loyal, and you'll notice I talk a lot about Tauruses because I am a Taurus, so it's the one sign that I do know a lot about. Tauruses are very loyal, and Lynn Spears has been anything but loyal to her daughter. In fact, when I link with Britney's energy, there's just nothing. There's nothing there. And I'll be honest, if there was any one of these relationships that's probably hurt her the most, it's this one, because I feel like when she was a lot younger, her mother had a really strong part in her career and in her life, and she was very much always there. But over time she got more and more pushed out, and Lynn didn't do anything to fight for her daughter or to fight to get back into the circle. She just let it go. She just stepped back, and I feel like there is a resentment from Britney, rightly so, toward her mother of, why didn't you come and fight for me? Why didn't you stand up for me? Why didn't you be the protective mother that I needed you to be? There's definitely that energy from Britney towards Lynn. And I'll be honest, when I like tap into Lynn Spears' energy, there's just nothing there. I cannot express to you the amount of nothingness that I feel. It's just like dead, numb. But I feel like if we were to break through and start to tap through that numbness, because after a amount of time, when you suppress emotions for long enough, you will become numb. But I feel like guilt is the number one thing, and I think I wrote that here, yeah, riddled with guilt. And instead of dealing with that and confronting it, she distanced herself. I feel like the guilt of not stepping up and not being the voice that Britney needed when Britney couldn't voice for herself riddled Lynn with so much guilt that instead of making it right, you will do one of two things when something goes wrong. You will fight or you will flight. Instead of fighting and making it right, Lynn decided to flight. And I feel like Lynn completely distanced herself and said, I don't want anything to do with this. And she kept herself completely distant. I do pick up and can see visions of Britney trying to call her mother and her mother not answering the phone. I can see Britney writing letters and trying to get in contact with her and saying, help me, and Lynn just not even responding. So Lynn, what was this about? Like, why did you not step up and help for your daughter? It's like so much shame. She let her own emotions overtake her maternal instincts. It's like she let her own emotions stand in the way of actually helping her daughter, and it's super sad. It's super sad. But what we have to say, because Spirit want to come in and be like, no, we're not doing that, we're not doing sadness. And so what we have to realize is all of these people that did knock Britney and wasn't there for her and didn't help her, it's actually only helped her build up her strength. And yes, she has taken so much knocks, but she will get up. She is getting up and she is gonna fight back. I've got here that Lynn Spears stood silent. She let a lot happen without saying anything. I just see her stood like, just like I said, nothing coming from her. No protection, no defense, nothing. Although Spirit are saying she did try and speak a few times and was silenced, but then never tried again. Like, this is not even Taurus energy, I can't even deal. She just feels absent, yeah, and I don't feel as though she's been any kind of support to Britney at all. And it's super sad because I can't say anything more than that, because I don't feel anything more than that. It's just like this empty lack of presence. It's this hole, this empty hole, especially in Britney's life, because this woman who she once loved and adored, and she still does love and adore her, but she definitely feels let down, and I can't blame her for that, because Lynn definitely needed to step up and she didn't. And I don't feel that, honestly, that relationship can ever be repaired, sorry, which is super sad. So next we have Jamie Lynn Spears, who is Britney's younger sister. Jamie was born on the 4th of April 91, making her 30 years old. Now, I don't want to make Jamie seem the victim, because she's definitely not, but what I will say about Jamie Lynn Spears is she's very brainwashed, and I will say that the way things are and how they've been is really all that she's ever known. So I would say that Jamie Lynn Spears also has had some kind of silence been put on her. I can't say she's a victim, because she in no way has been treated anywhere near to what Britney has. But she definitely has been silenced at times throughout her life. She definitely has been made to feel less than. She definitely, I feel, does suffer with mental health issues. I would say that Jamie Lynn Spears has depression. I would say that Jamie Lynn Spears has suffered with like self-abuse as well. And again, a lot of internalized anger. There's a lot of complex issues that Jamie Lynn doesn't actually realise she suffers with. So in a weird way, there's a kind of sick jealousy from Jamie Lynn to Britney, because I feel that she always felt in Britney's shadow, which is understandable. If we look at any celebrity where this, you know, one of them's bigger than the other, that's often the case. And I do feel that there was a lot of jealousy and envy from Jamie Lynn Spears to Britney, but I feel like it was only enhanced by things that other people would say. And so again, it's creating that distance. And this, I've talked about this before, I feel like I picked up on this in one of Britney's previous readings, that this conservatorship and this circle that's around Britney that's keeping her enclosed, it's so calculated and it's been so carefully orchestrated in a way that these people, including her father, have gotten into the minds of her mother and her sister and anyone who was her friend. They've very much gotten into the minds of these people to be like, well, you know, Britney thinks she's better than you anyway. You're not really as good as Britney. You know, planting those little seeds of insecurity to keep people away, to keep their distance so that they can do what they want with her, because that's what manipulators and abusers do. You know, they plant these little seeds, you know, that are so subtle and so calculated, you wouldn't even know what they're doing. But that's what I feel. And I put here, yeah, Jamie Lynn suffers with mental health issues and has experienced her own form of being silenced. I just do feel that she, again, I don't feel this is the life that she would have chosen. You know, I don't feel it's the life Britney would have chosen. I've talked about that before. But, you know, when you are born into some kind of legacy or celebrity, it's often the road you have to follow, because you can't be Britney Spears' sister and go and get a normal job. You know, it's just very, I mean, you could, but she didn't really have a chance. She was put into the limelight from a young age herself. And so I'm not making her the victim here, because I don't feel that she helped Britney in any way, shape or form, but I just want to make it understandable of why she is the way she is, because there is a reason for it. Jamie Lynn is innocent, because in no way I feel that she is. I feel like she's definitely benefited from Britney's situation completely, but what I am saying is we need to look and understand as to how she was made the way she is and why she's the way she is. When I connect with Jamie Lynn Spears, I keep hearing rehab, 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 rehab. So either she's checking into rehab or she needs to go to rehab. I definitely feel she needs to go to rehab, because I feel like there's a lot of suppressed things that she herself has been through that haven't been dealt with. She's got a lot of her own issues, and Spirit actually showed me, interestingly, Jamie Lynn Spears surrounded in like cobwebs. I feel like Jamie Lynn Spears has lived quite a sheltered life in terms of what she knows, what she knows to be true, what she knows about herself, what she knows about a lot of things. She's been told a lot, you know, rather than gone out and learned things for herself. So don't get me wrong, she hasn't done anything to help this situation, absolutely not. But then in the same way, there's not a lot that she could have done except support her sister, which she didn't do, I don't feel, allegedly. So let's move on to the... I mean, there's no nice words. Let's just move on to James Spears. So James Spears is Britney Spears' father, born 6th of July 1952, age 69. I cannot believe this man is a Cancer with his energy like this. Reading aside for a moment, what kind of man, what kind of father does this? What kind of father listens to their daughter saying, I want to get married, I want to have children, I want to be free, and says, no, 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 I want to be able to see my children when I want to see my children, and says no? Can we just, what kind of father does that? I feel like from a young age, like before Britney was even famous, James Spears was a very, I don't want to say militant father, because I don't feel like he was, but I feel he was very stern, and I feel he could be quite angry. And I actually picked up that he had alcohol issues, and I feel like he definitely did have some kind of substance issue, but I do feel like it was alcohol, which tells me that he had a lot of his own traumas that have not been dealt with. And don't we often see this? This was the same with the Jacksons reading and Joe Jackson from before. When people don't deal with their own issues, they go on to create further trauma. So what do we learn here? Deal with your trauma so that you don't pass it on. I put down here that Jamie Spears has always been extremely controlling, and that's the one thing I do feel with him. I feel like if I tap into his energy, I feel like as a child and as a teenager, he was often rejected. He felt like a failure. I feel like he didn't have many friends. He often felt like an outsider, and so in terms to like gain back his own control, he became like a very controlling family man, which is often what we see. When people feel out of control in certain areas, they try to control and dominate in other areas. I also feel like, again, this jealousy of his daughter's success, which in itself is really sick. I feel like he saw her thriving and doing well, and it's like, I want that, I deserve that, I should have that. And it's like, this isn't even about you. This isn't about you. This is your daughter's success, and he's just wanting it for himself. And with this control and this lack of self-esteem and this feeling as though the world owes him something, because that's definitely, I feel he has such a chip on his shoulder. Like, he feels as though the world owes him something. And I feel like if you were even to meet him just as like an everyday person, like if you were in a restaurant or a bar or anything like that, he would come off very self-righteous, as if he's privileged and you owe him something and you are blessed to be in his time. And that's just the kind of person he comes across as. But let me tell you something I do feel. It may not be today, it may not be next week, it may not be tomorrow. Spirit are giving me the number 7, so I don't know if that's 7 months, 7 years. He's gonna get his just desserts. I picked up before that nothing's gonna actually happen to the people that were in the conservatorship. Now, I feel that that's legal. I don't feel like anything legal is going to happen to him. I don't feel like he's going to have to pay any money back or pay any fines. I don't feel like he's going to have to like serve any prison time or anything like that, because unfortunately the sad situation here is Britney signed the documents. Britney signed things over, and sadly, even though she wasn't in her right frame of mind, she was being abused, manipulated, bullied. I feel that because she did sign, because she willingly did sign, there's nothing legal here that can happen, which is sad. But karma is energetical. Karma is not logical, okay? Karma is not law-based. Karma is energetical. And I just feel that for James Spears, he will live a very lonely remainder of his life because of the way he has treated his daughter. And you know what? Spirit make me feel like that's enough. Because he could go to prison. He could have to pay back the money he's taken. It's never going to give her the years back that she deserves, the years that she missed out on. She's not going to get them back. And so the only way for this to really be paid is energetically through karma. And I do feel like he will get his just desserts. I just keep hearing just desserts. So I feel like he will get what's coming to him. And interestingly, I picked up that he knows he's wrong. He knows he's wrong. This isn't something where he thinks what he's doing is right. He intuitively knows that what he's done isn't right. But he's so far in it, and he's so convinced in himself that it's too far gone. It's like he refuses to turn back. And because of his pride and this way of being where he doesn't want to look like a failure, he doesn't want to look, it's all about image, he doesn't want to look like less than, he won't back down. And the sad thing about it is, Spirit said to me earlier, if he had just allowed his daughter to live her life, if he had just allowed things to go the way they needed to go for her to be free, if he had just allowed that, he would have been richer than he ever could have imagined. And it's actually really sad, and I don't want to cry about it because, like I said, we're celebrating her strength and her comeback. But if he had just allowed her, this is the sad thing, if he had put his own selfish feelings aside, if he had healed himself internally, if he had just allowed her to live her life, he would have been richer than he ever could have imagined, because he would have had an amazing relationship with his daughter. His daughter would have been able to fulfill her success, and because of her happiness, because she would have been in a good place, she would have probably willingly given him anything he wanted, because he would have been a good father. But because he was so traumatized and healed from his own hurts and put his own hurts and pain before anything else, he's just made this such a mess. And again, similar to Lynn Spears, this is a relationship that can never be healed, and it's tragic. I feel like he will never be happy, and Spirit are saying that that in itself is enough, because I did pick up that Britney Spears wouldn't be happy, but I feel like you have to remember energy changes. And I feel like when I read on her before, she didn't have the strength to stand up and fight this. And so it did feel like in that instance, in that time when I was reading for her, that she would never be happy. But I feel like she will go on to be happy. I do feel that now. I feel like she's found her own inner strength, and she will go on to recover. And this is something he never will, because what he's done is so dirty and disgusting. He has to live with that for the rest of his life. And maybe that's where the alcohol will come in, because I see, as I've said, that a bottle being picked up. So maybe he will then, as people do when they don't want to deal with their issues, develop some kind of substance addiction. But I don't see a happy road for him. He will exit the conservatorship. I see the number 7 again in relation to that. It could be 7 weeks, it could be 7 months, 7 days, 7 years. The number 7, the 7th of whatever. Keep an eye out for the number 7. Interestingly, when we talk about the number 7 in itself, which is interesting that Spirit would keep showing me this, it does talk about isolation, perseverance, keeping on going. So, you know, she has got that on her side. So keep going, Britney, you've got this. The next person we're going to read in this room is Sam. I'm not sure how you pronounce his surname. Is it Sam Asghari? This is Britney Spears' boyfriend, who I did not know is so young. He's younger than me. He's 27 years old. He was born on the 4th of March 94. He's 27 years old. They've been together a long time, so they must have got together when he was like 20. Like, wow. Okay. I get very mixed emotions from this man. Like, very mixed emotions. Similar to the manager, sometimes I feel like he's devoted to her and he's completely there for her. And then other times I feel like he's not good for her and she shouldn't be with him. And what I do see is this. because I can't tap into his energy completely. I don't feel like he's completely 100% reliable. And I don't feel like he's the man she'll be with forever. I don't. I feel like once she comes out of this conservatorship and she's able to have a bit more freedom, I feel like this partnership will disintegrate. Spirit made me feel that this partnership has served a purpose, and because she has been kind of imprisoned, he has kind of been a person that she could lean on and rely on and be quite dependent on, and she's needed that. He's served that purpose in this situation. Because she has been in prison, she spent a lot of time inside her house, you know, he's been allowed to be there, and so she's almost like clung on to him as if to say, okay, you're all I kind of know, you're all I kind of have. And once those walls break down and, you know, she's able to exit this jail sentence, she'll see a whole new world, and there'll be a whole new lease of life opened up to her. And I feel like the relationship kind of won't serve the same purpose and role that it has done. I don't feel like there's any malicious energy or that this man's out to get any money. I don't feel anything like that. But I do at times feel that his energy isn't 100% what Britney would need. Because Britney needs someone that's going to stand up for her. And I don't feel like he ever has. I feel like he's kind of just let things, similar to Lynn Spears, he's kind of just stood by and watched things and let them happen and not said, you know, like, you realise this isn't right. You know, he could have said to her a lot sooner, like, you realise this isn't normal. I just feel like he's taken advantage of the nice house and the holidays and those kind of things. I don't feel like he's going to take any money from her, but I do feel like he's taken advantage of her at times. Because let me get this straight, Britney Spears is a catch, okay? She is a catch, regardless of how they want to portray her or how you want to put her across. She is a catch, okay? And so, I'll be honest, there isn't much I can say about them. Because I feel like he's served his purpose in her life of being that rock, of being that person she could lean on. And I feel like he will go on to be with someone else. And I feel like she will go on to be with someone else. I don't feel like he's made enough of a mark in her life to say anything strongly for him or against him. He definitely could have done more. And I feel like that's kind of it in terms of Sam. You know, Sam definitely could have stepped up to the plate and definitely fought a lot harder for her. But in some sense, I feel spiritually that wasn't his role to play in this situation, because we have to remember, we always approach things from a human point of view, but there's always a spiritual point of view which is a lot bigger than us. And spirit orchestrate people and things into our lives for certain purposes and reasons. And I don't feel like Sam's reason was to step up and be like, you need to do this, you need to do that, because that would have taken away Britney's ability to find that inner strength for herself. Which is what a lot of this has been about, I feel. Britney needed to find her own strength again, her own inner voice, because as a young teenager, I feel like she was quite outspoken. I've said this before, she was quite outspoken. She could stand up for herself, but over time that got knocked out of her and taken away. And so him coming in and doing that wouldn't have served any purpose in her life. She had to come to a point where she could stand up for herself like she has done, and we are so proud of you, and say enough's enough, I have to do this for myself. And so I don't feel like that was his purpose in her life. And the purpose will run out. The purpose will run its course. And so there's not much to say on it. It feels like a light energy. It's not dense. It's not heavy. He's come into her life to be that kind of rock and that point of leaning on. And that's it really in terms of Sam. So last but definitely not least, we have Miss Britney Spears, born 2nd of December 1981. Who is 39 years old. She's 40 this year. My goodness. If you've got this far, tell me what your favourite Britney Spears song is. I've said this before, mine is and will always be Sometimes. I absolutely love that song. Whilst meditating on her energy, I listened to it at least 10 times. I love that song so, so much. Britney at the moment is feeling very nervous, and I feel like that's understandable, and Spirit come through instantly to say she feels very scared, and I feel like that's completely understandable because she's in a very scary situation where she's literally fighting against people who own every single bit of her and her belongings and her money. You know, can you imagine how much strength it takes to get up and fight against people who legitimately own you legally, right? But she's found this spark, she's found this inner strength, and she's prepared now. She's prepared to keep going, to keep fighting, and she's not going to stop. She's not going to stop, and she is going to do all that she can to free herself. She's woken up. I feel like I said, I've said this before, a lot of the time she's been drugged and medicated, and I feel like somehow she's been able to eradicate that from her life. I don't know how, because obviously the people around her have to be around her because of this conservatorship. So I don't know how she's managed to do that, but I do feel like somehow she's managed to remove the drugs that they were giving her. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like Britney is ready, and she feels like herself, and she's ready to come and get her life back and fight for her life. And it's really interesting. I picked up on this the last few times, you know, that Madonna was going to come in and help her, and I knew that. I knew she was coming. I could feel it, and I feel like she really is going to help her. I feel like, honestly, someone said about speaking up on celebrities and tapping into the energy of celebrities who have spoken out about supporting Britney. And let's be real, celebrities have a lot of power, and if these celebrities really wanted to, they could have definitely gotten behind her a long time ago. I don't feel like any of them really mean it, but I do feel like Madonna does. Not that they don't really mean it, I'm sure they mean it from their hearts, like sending her love, as we do. But you know, let's be real, they've got a lot of power, they've got social platforms, they could speak up, they could get their lawyers involved. Have they? I do feel like Madonna is going to help Britney. I also see Spirit wanted to talk about them a little bit, and I won't go too much into it because I don't like to talk about people's children, but Britney Spears' sons are getting older now. They're getting older to an age where they can show up and they can voice their own opinions, because these two children, particularly the eldest son, has tried to have more of a relationship with his mother, and it's been so like controlled again by the father and by the conservatorship, which is really the dad, to say, no, you can only see your mother on this day and you can only see your mother on that day. The son is going to speak up. I also see that the sons eventually will go back into full-time custody with their mother because they love their mum, and I feel like Britney as a mother is so loving and caring, and she would have been just the best mum if she was able to do it full-time. I mean, she has been the best mum with the amount of time she's been able to share. But I do see them going back to her full time. That in itself is another battle, and that's to come in the future. Obviously they'll be older, but I do see them going back to live with her full time. I do see Britney when she does get free of this conservatorship, because I feel like Spirit really want to talk about the future rather than right now. Right now we know it's heavy, right now we know it's sad, but I feel like they want to say that there is a future for her. The future does look brighter for her. I do see that massive amounts of land. I just see her, I know she loves animals because I can feel it. I know she loves nature because I can feel it. And I see her just having this mass amounts of land with lots of animals and just completely taking herself out of the spotlight. Because the reality is, if she had not been in this conservatorship, she would have taken herself out of the spotlight many years ago. This is something she stopped enjoying when she was like mid-20s. This is something she would have stopped doing a long time ago. She is understandably tired, I feel. You know, obviously this is extremely draining, and I can feel it because I'm now starting to feel extremely drained. But whereas before, she definitely, in the past, she would have just given in and said, okay, it's just too much, I just do what you want, you know. She's not going to do that this time. This time she knows that people are behind her. She knows we're hashtagging Free Britney. She knows we know what's going on, which is why I feel like, which is why I feel like she has had the strength to speak up. And I can internally hear her wanting to, you know, having deep, immense gratitude for her fans, and for them actually realizing that something wasn't right, and for that helping her to see that in herself. Because you can, you know, when you're surrounded by the same thing every day, that can become your normality. And I feel like for a long time it did become her normality, even though deep down you might know that something's wrong. Deep down she knew, but it became her normality because she was surrounded by it for so many years. And through speaking up and through seeing campaigns and seeing hashtags, you know, the pressure was on, and she started to realize, like, oh no, maybe I was right. It's hard to be right and feel right when everyone's telling you you're wrong. And like I said, she was the only sane one in a camp where people were trying to make her feel crazy when they were the crazy ones. And so this is going to go on for a long time because her father sickly won't back down, even though deep down he also knows he's wrong, and I do feel that he does know he's wrong, but he won't back down. This is going to go on for a while. You know, again, it's that number 7, so I think this could go on until at least July next year, at which point, because I do feel a year and I do feel the number 7, so I feel like this could go on until July next year, at which point I feel like Britney could then be free. But I've said this before, I just feel that even when the conservatorship ends, there's a lot of emotional trauma and healing that she's going to have to go through, because this has been horrendous. And when I say horrendous, I mean absolutely disturbing. There's things we don't even know that this girl has had to go through, that she's been through. She doesn't know who she is outside of this conservatorship. There's so much more than just being in the conservatorship that Britney's got to deal with. So even when she is free of that, she's not going to be free straight away. It's going to take a long time to completely heal from what she's been through, but she will do it. She will get free, she will heal. And I do see her just living a free life. But I feel like once she is free, and once she does break free from this, to everyone who loves Britney, I will just say, I feel from spirit, we have to let her go. That's the one thing I will say. Once she does break free, we have to let her go. She's served her time. She's done her time. She's overdone her time. And once that conservatorship is up, we have to let her go. We don't need to be expecting music. We don't need to be expecting anything from her now. I've said this before, we have a backlog of music of Britney's that we can enjoy. We don't need to be expecting anything of her. She's served her time. We need to let her go and live her life. And I feel like she will. I see her, again, the number 7 is about that isolation, that seclusion. I see her secluding herself, having her own property, finding herself, painting, being expressive. I see a dance studio with lots of mirrors and expressing herself through dance and art, and I see her just rebuilding her life. So yeah, she's got a lot to go through. Growth is painful, it is challenging, but one thing we can learn from this reading and from the Jacksons is if you have trauma, heal it so that you do not pass it on. And hashtag free Britney. I do hope you've enjoyed this reading, lovelies. Send Britney all the love and light that you possibly can, and I will see you soon for another Read the Room. Bye.